Come on, you have a good voice. No, that's not different. Okay, Yofi, good. So now that we have cleared the secular wisdom from our hearts with some holy song, we're going to now move forward in this beautiful Torah about the power of song to bring you Emunah Mamish, real Emunah. Not just Emunah that's in your mind, but an Emunah that you experience in your heart. And this is the ikar of life, is to take what you know and to connect it and to manifest it in your heart. Now, if you know that what's in your head is not in your heart, even that is a high level. Most people don't even know that there is such a thing. However, ultimately, Rav Nachman of Breslov is trying to get us to the point that the consciousness, the knowledge of Hashem, that Hashem has given us the zchut to know, should permeate our heart. And when it permeates our heart, that's called Geula. That's called redemption. Ve'itve b'kitve ari. Oh, you can't start a Torah lesson better than that. It's brought in the holy writings of the Arizal HaKodesh. Ki tzaparim shebeklipa hemochin shebemalchut de klipa. That there's these birds of the klipa. They are the mind of the malchut of the klipa. What are we saying here? Okay. Like we said before, every single one of us is being influenced. You can't choose whether or not you're being influenced. You always have to be influenced. The problem is not influence. Influence can bring redemption. The problem becomes, is this influence bringing me closer to reality, or it's separating me from reality? Your choice is only, do I choose the malchut, the influence, the king, which is going to bring me close to Hashem, to His Torah, to His tzaddikim, His true tzaddikim, and to my real self? Or am I going to choose an influence which is going to separate me from Hashem, His Torah, His tzaddik, and my real self? That's where your free will lies. You choose your malchut. You choose your king. You choose your influence. Okay. Every influence has a consciousness. Listen, I know this is a hard lesson. I know this is very heavy duty Kabbalah, but this is even within Chassidus. So if Rav Nachman is going to talk about these things, it means we need to understand whatever he's saying to the degree that we can. Every sphera has its own consciousness. Malchut has its own consciousness. Yesod has its own consciousness. Netzach and Hod have their own consciousness. Every single godly emanation, divine luminary, has its own mind. Okay. Malchut, which is the sphere of influence, which is the sphere that we call kingship, but I'm making it so that it's understood in what they mean when they say kingship. It's an influence. Okay? What builds the influence of this thing called malchut, of kingship? The answer is birds. The birds, which are represented by the sphirot of Netzach and Hod. Netzach and Hod build the mind of the influence. Okay, so very, very simply. Right now I'm talking to you. You're listening to me. That means I'm an influence. Not because of anything with me, but because you're listening, you're trying to receive from me. So this is an influence. Now my influence can come of one of two places. It can either come from the birds of Kedusha, the birds of godliness, the birds of Nevuah, the birds of prophecy, Netzach and Hod, who we're going to call Moshe and Aaron, these two shepherds that took the Jewish people out of Mitzrayim, out of slavery, or it could be coming from the birds or the Netzach and Hod or the Moshe and Aaron of the other side, so to speak. It has to be one, though. It has to be one of those. Because that's where influence is built by. One of those two, okay? So now we're saying, like we said before, Malchut, which influence, but it also means Emunah. What is it that builds your Emunah? What is it that influences your Emunah? The answer is Netzach and Hod, which in Kabbalah, they explain is represented by Moshe and Aaron. Okay? Meaning simply, why was Hashem able to be revealed to the Jewish people after being enslaved for hundreds of years in Mitzrayim when they weren't able to before? The answer is because they didn't have Netzach and Hod of Kedusha working together. Because Moshe and Aaron were together providing a mind for the Jewish people, then Emunah was revealed within the Jewish people. Is everybody with me? I'm going to ask that a few times. Is everybody with me in this class? Because I don't want you to be confused and then not get this. This is a hard piece, even though this is a short piece, and it's based on everything we learned so far. Yes. Again, you have Emunah, right? Or some level of Emunah. What builds your Emunah? What builds anything is its mind. The mind is what builds something into reality. Okay?
You say the mind was the thought?
The mind can either be the thought, that's the way we usually think of it, but we're saying that Emunah has its own mind. Not a mind that's in your brain, it's a different mind. Emunah, the mind of Emunah, is not your physical brain. It's something called your Netzach and Hod. What does Netzach and Hod literally mean? Netzach means something which is eternal, something which never ends, something which is always. But in the teachings of Chassidut, what does it practically mean for us? Holy chutzpah. Boldness for the sake of truth. Who was the revelation of that in a physical way as a human being? It was Moshe. So Pinchas is connected to these, but he wasn't the full manifestation of it. The full manifestation of Netzach is Moshe Rabbeinu. That Moshe Rabbeinu was confronted by a million things in his lifetime, which would make any one of us say, "Nah, I'm good. I think I'm just going to go another way. This is a little bit too much for me." But Moshe was bold for the truth. Even when he spoke to Hashem, he screamed to Hashem, "Why are you doing bad to your people? Why did you send me here?" Where does that ability to speak like that come from? It comes from Netzach. Holy chutzpah. Holy chutzpah. Can you put your phone on mute, please? Can you put your phone on mute or vibrate? Thank you. So Moshe is the ability of a Jew to fight for the truth and not to give up on it. Okay, this is Moshe Rabbeinu. Good. But Moshe alone did not take the Jewish people out of Egypt and bring them to the land of Israel. He did it with Aaron, a Kohen. Aaron is the full manifestation of a sphere that's called Hod. Hod literally means splendor or majesty or grandeur, but none of that means anything to us. So what does Hod mean for us? Peace. No. Hod means submission. Hod means gratitude.
So when a person's grateful, he's acknowledging there's something greater than him.
Yes. Hod is related to the word modeh. Modeh means that you're acknowledging a reality. Aaron's greatest strength and his nature was even more so than Moshe Rabbeinu, to be able to acknowledge reality as it was, to experience it as it was, and to see the good in it as it was without trying to change it. This was Aaron. Moshe, the sphere of Netzach, is on the right side of the Sfirot. The right side of the Sfirot is considered spiritually male, because male spiritually is to go beyond oneself. It's to extend beyond limitations. The left side of the Sfirot, which is where Hod comes from, which is where Aaron comes from, is a side which receives whatever is given to it. It's equally holy, it's equally necessary, it's just a complete different type of experience of life. And you need both of them. You need both Moshe and Aaron. And Aaron, instead of trying to change reality, he was accepting reality. Does everybody understand this? Okay. This is Moshe and Aaron. Together, they revealed Emunah in the world. Because what builds Emunah, it's called Moshe and Aaron. It's called Netzach and Hod. They are the mind of Emunah. Even though they are not, in terms of the Sfirot, in the realm of Chabad, which is the mind, right? Chokhmah Bina Da'at, they're lower. They're by the legs in the Sfirot, or the testicles, or the kidneys. But that's actually the mind of Emunah. The consciousness of Emunah, faith, actually comes from holy chutzpah and from submission. Your ability to use both your right and your left legs, Netzach and Hod, to continue to flex both of those legs, to that degree you build your Emunah. Meaning simply, somebody says, I want to have emunah. I really want to believe in Hashem. I want to believe everything is for the good in my life. I don't want to just like know that somewhere in my mind, but I want to experience that in my body, in my legs, in my feet, that I literally experience something which seemingly is bad and it feels good to me.
But it's very hard.
1 second. I know it's hard. So 1 second. So I'm telling you such an amazing, this is one of the most amazing things, most practical things that Rabbi Nachman teaches that you could take with you from today for the rest of your life, and I practice this every single day. When you go to your hibodedut, what are the two main things, the two main muscles which you're supposed to be flexing? Netzach and Hod. Because the purpose of your hibodedut is to build your emunah, right? The more you talk to Hashem, the more you believe in Him. But what type of speaking increases the emunah? And emunah is not just I believe in God. Emunah means I live with this reality that Hashem is all that there is. Everything He does is good. He loves me. He loves everyone. Everything is for the best. That you live with that no matter what's happening. That's dependent on your ability to flex these muscles of Netzach and Hod. To tap into the Moshe and Aaron within you. And specifically, when is the prime time to do this? In your hibodedut. That part of the time you're like Aaron a Cohen. And you're saying, thank you, Hashem, that I'm sick. Thank you, Hashem, that my children aren't listening to me. Thank you, Hashem, that my wife doesn't respect me. Thank you, Hashem, that my life did not turn at all out the way that I wanted it to. Thank you, Hashem, and I don't know why I'm thanking you because I'm in so much pain right now, but I'm thanking you because I know that you know more than me, and I'm speaking from a place of complete, utter despair, but the truth is that deep down inside, I know you must believe in me, you must love me, and I thank you for it. This is the revelation of Aaron in your soul. This is the revelation of Hod in your soul. But that's only half the battle. Then you have to kick into Moshe. And you have to scream to Hashem from the deepest place. From the deepest place. How did Moshe speak to Hashem? Hashem, I'd rather you kill me than continue my life like this. I'd rather die. Hashem, why are you doing evil to your own people? Hashem, why are you doing this to me? Why did you send me here? Hashem, I need you to change this right now for me. Does everybody hear the difference between these two modes of expression? The first one is complete submission to your reality. It's based in truth. The second one is you're trying to change your reality. This is Moshe and Aaron. When you continue to go back and forth between these two things, submission and gratitude, and advocating for yourself, like every part of your body is on fire. When you continue to go back and forth between this, your emunah is going to explode. Your faith in Hashem is going to explode. I know for sure that the whole reason that I have whatever emunah that Hashem has given me to this point is because I'm doing this thing every day for years now that I'm talking to you about. Every day in my hibodedut, I'm flexing both of these muscles. Does everybody understand this point? Yeah, go ahead.
It seemingly sounds like contradictory.
Yeah, they are.
Either you're submissive or you're not happy, you want to change.
That's right.
How do you kind of balance both realities?
Okay, good. Your ability to balance both is dependent on your purity. To the degree that you achieve sexual purity, to that degree, these things stop being a paradox to you.
So there is a function that comes after Netzach and Hod.
Right. The middle line, you're to the degree that you become pure in the area of sexuality, to that degree you're able to unite things that seem that they're disconnected. Like male and female. Because these are male and female. Moshe's male and Aaron's female, spiritually. Their modes of relationship with Hashem to their world, to their life, was male and female. Who is it that is able to unite Yosef, the Yesod. And he is the beacon of sexual purity. Why? Because the word Yosef is to gather. What is he gathering? Opposites. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. They couldn't leave Mitzrayim without his bones. By the word, the word for bones is etzem. It comes atzmut, whatever. Etzem, it means like his essence. It's not, he physically left with his bones, but they left with his essence. What was his essence? The ability to unite opposites. Yosef's whole thing was his ability to unite complete opposites. Why? Because he's Yesod. The function of Yesod is to unite Netzach and Hod. So therefore, your ability to be able to go back and forth, and these things are not a paradox for you anymore, that you're able to somehow, because it doesn't make sense, right? How am I submitting completely and saying thank you? And then I'm going to scream to Hashem to change my life. Which one is it? They're not the same thing. The answer is that according to nature, they're a paradox. But when you achieve sexual purity, then you don't go by the laws of nature anymore, because that's not natural for you to do that. So now that's why it said that Yosef HaTzadik, he went chutza. Right? It said that he left when Potiphar's wife was seducing him. He went out. So the simple meaning is that he left because he was trying to get away from the issue. However, whenever the Torah says that a tzaddik goes chutza, it means on a deeper level, he went outside of the realm of physicality at that point. He left the realm of physicality through his Shmirat HaBrit, because what he just did was completely transcending the natural world. And once you do that, then everything which seems like a paradox, you can see the unity in it.
So what happens to a person if he's perfect?
Well, let me look.
Necessarily has to be a paradox. Meaning, if you look at it truly, if you first get to a level that you have complete emunah that everything is good.
How do you get there?
Okay, so you need to get there with, first of all, you think about things that are good.
Yes.
Then you try to connect with whatever is bad to the dot.
Right.
That is from Hashem and it's good.
Right.
Once you're already in serenity with that, everything you ask doesn't come from like you're upset at Hashem or whatever. What
Yeah.
you see
Okay.
in your
Good.
eyes, you need more money to be able to do something.
Right.
You need to be less angry.
So Abraham's bringing up a good point, but this is a psychological point, not a spiritual point, and it's a true point. The point is that when you when you thank for things, that grounds you in reality. What happens for each of us is the nature of a person, of the animal soul, is to look at bad. So his whole day, he's not paying attention to any of the good that happens to him. He's quickly shooting and paying attention to the bad. Why? Because a person's natural consciousness is his animal soul, unless he's worked on himself tremendously and Hashem has given him a huge zchut. So now, his nature is to look at negativity. Why does Rav Nachman say a Zamra is the most important lesson that he has? Because he's breaking your animal soul. Because your God consciousness only sees good. So he's forcing you to flex the muscle of your nefesh elokit. By you saying thank you for all the things in your life, it's not that you are, I'm convincing myself that my life is good. No, your life is good. You're just not in touch with that because you're constantly looking at bad.
And that's coming from the Brit, from the
Yes, and that comes from a blemish of the birth. Okay?
So to the degree a person's Brit is purified, to that degree he experiences Netzach and Hod.
To that degree he experiences Hashem's unity in this world. Okay? So now, once you say thank you, now you're rooted in reality, meaning, okay, yeah, I have struggles, but Hashem has actually done a lot for me. Now you can come to Hashem not from despair, when you ask for a change, but from a broken heart. Yes, so I'm with you, I agree with you. Okay, so, and what's the difference? Because if you come to Hashem with despair, it's not rooted in truth, and if it's not rooted in truth, you can't get your prayers answered. Okay, so despair means you don't really believe that Hashem loves you, you don't really believe that Hashem is taking care of you, you don't really believe that Hashem is with you, don't really believe Hashem wants to help you, is capable of helping you, you don't even believe in Hashem, period. You do believe in Hashem, but you don't think that He has your best interest, you don't believe that Hashem is the cause of everything in your life. All of these things. So when you don't believe in those things, and I'm not saying that you go out and you tell people that, there's a part in your heart that doesn't believe that. That's the majority of the world, including the religious world. Okay? So now that being the case, that's fine. But when you come to pray with that, that's not true though. The truth is Hashem is good. The truth is Hashem does love you. The truth is Hashem has always been with you. The truth is that Hashem is giving you all of these opportunities, no matter how dark, no matter how difficult, no matter how challenging, because these are the exact precursors for your greatness. But you're not able to see that because your natural consciousness is that of your animal soul, and you're constantly looking at bad in your life. So now when you come to Hashem and you say thank you, you force yourself to say thank you. You train yourself to say thank you first before you do anything else. So now what you're doing is you're breaking your animal soul. What? No, it becomes real for you. Yes. It becomes real because the truth is that is real. It's just not real for you yet. It is real for you, but not in the place that you're holding. So now what happens is, then what happens is, now that you're saying thank you, now you're rooted in reality, now I can pray to Hashem for a change in my life, but I'm not going to fall into depression as a result. Like for instance, the first couple of years that I was doing Hibbodah, I was just crying. I was just crying like, I'm the worst person in the world, I'm the worst father, I'm the worst husband, I don't know how I ever got to this point, how did my whole life spiral out? Everything was going like, I struggled my whole life with depression, but like there was some type of trajectory. I was like hoping to eventually be successful as a husband, as a father, in a job. And like literally within a short amount of time, I lost everything in my life seemingly. So what did I come to Hashem with? Just depression. Just tremendous, tremendous sadness and despair. But the issue is that it's not true. It's not that it's not true, I don't feel that. I do feel that. It's not true because the reality is even that was good. I wasn't in a place to experience that. I didn't have a munah to believe that. I was religious 5 seconds before that. But as time went on, and I just never gave up on Rabbi Nachman, and for years I was reading everything he said every day, even though I didn't even believe what he was saying. And then eventually Hashem had rachamim, had empathy on me, and He helped me to say thank you for my suffering. Thank you for my pain. Thank you that I'm even have kids, even though I'm not there for them. Thank you that I have a wife, even though she left everything to be with me, and I'm not even there for you. And thank you, Hashem, that I am so tired. I have a bed to sleep on. A lot of people don't have a bed.
Shifting a mindset, it's also shifting a spiritual mindset as well.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's a dual thing. There is what seems like a psychological thing, but it's a very deep spiritual transformation that's taking place. Now, when you start from there, now you can pray, but your prayers are not going to come from depression or atzvut or sadness. They're going to come from yearning for a change. That you believe that Hashem could make a change, He just hasn't yet. That's different than Hashem has never helped me, Hashem will never help me, Hashem is not interested in helping me, this is hopeless. That's a different sugya.
You said to go back and forth between Netzach and Chod, or
Yeah.
you just say first thank you, like an Amidah?
So there's no one thing formula. A very simple thing to do is half the time to thank and half the time to shake the heavens, okay? But ultimately, as time goes on, Bezrat Hashem Yad Zchut, and your conversation with Hashem is more like with a best friend. And then you can just do whatever you need whenever you need to. Yeah.
I mean, you sound a little bit like tactics to cover up like a secret resentment. Wouldn't it be easier to acknowledge the very real fact that there is another opposing force called Satan, or the opponent, and that everything good that comes to us is from Hashem, everything bad that comes to us is not from Hashem, it's from another force that He allowed to temporarily exist.
So that's a great point. The issue with that is you're creating disunity in your consciousness. By doing that, first of all, you move into the realm of Christianity, Not that there's no such thing as Satan, not that there's no such thing as negativity, but the teachings of Chassidut and the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov, the teachings of Rabbi Nachman are teaching that on one level, yes, there is a negative force that's called Satan, that's called the Yetzer Hara, and he is opposing you in order to challenge you so you can. But at a higher level of consciousness, which the Baal Shem Tov's Torah is revealing to us, which Rabbi Nachman's Torah is letting us experience in a real physical, emotional, psychological way, is that actually it's all Hashem. And even all of the difficulties from Satan, from the Nachash, it's also Hashem. And what happens is when you start to realize that, or you start to kick into and experience that consciousness, this heals you. Because it's actually the disunity in a Jew's mind and his heart which causes his suffering. And this is why many Christians have a hard time growing spiritually, because they're starting with a precedent that there's a lack of, that there's good, there's a force of good, there's bad, there's a force of bad. So that means that the force of bad could be like overpowering the force of good. Yeah.
Temporarily. I mean, doesn't it all go back to the point of creation, the Big Bang, free will?
Yes. So
the
yes. Right. Yeah. So these are all amazing questions.
I mean, I know that if I win $1 million one day, that part is from Hashem, and the part where I get jumped by other guys in the Bronx, that's not coming from Hashem. I don't see it as coming from him. I see it as coming from an entirely different.
Right. I hear you. So I want to tell you like this. Rabbi Nachman says that there's something called emet, the truth, and there's something called the emet la'amito, the truth of truths. Okay? What's the example that Rabbi Nachman gives? Somebody comes and he takes an apple from your tree. Let's say you own a tree. A kid comes by, he takes an apple from the tree. What's the truth? He stole your apple. It's true, it's your property, it's your apple. He took it, no? Doesn't belong to him. Is that the truth? You tell me, I'm asking. It's the truth, no? You can't deny that. Okay. But Rabbi Nachman says the truth of truth,
which is a higher consciousness,
which,
deeper.
which is a deeper reality that doesn't negate the fact that that's the truth, is that Hashem had him come to your tree and take your apple.
Directly?
Directly, indirectly, however you want to look at it, there is nothing that happens in this world unless Hashem wills it to happen. Whether you want to say directly or indirectly.
I thought that he didn't directly will that happen to other people, but he allows Satan to
yes.
test your.
So I want to ask you a question. You're right. So now I want to take you, but that's called right. So wait.
Do I love you?
Right.
Hate you?
So
How do I cover up my resentment?
yes. So I'm explaining the way that resentment. So the way that resentment goes away is that you channel your negative feelings properly, because as long as your negative feelings are directed towards Yetzer Hara, Satan, X, Y, and Z, you never get to heal, because you're not lifting it back up to its source. So I'll give you an example, okay? I had the same conversation when I was in Eretz Yisrael a couple of years ago. A person who was very, very smart, Bal Tshuva, learns mamish, he reads everything, really nice, very, very, very smart, very chashuv, beautiful soul, Jewish soul, okay? We were at the Shabbat table, and it turned into a very, very big machloket l'shem shemayim, where he was banging the door for justice and for nullification of evil and for nullification of negativity and how bad comes and X, Y, and Z. And I told him that everything comes from Hashem. And he's like, well, what are you going to say about genocide and Holocaust and X, Y, and Z? And we had a whole conversation, and I calmly explained what Rabbi Nachman says, and I explained, and he was getting more and more uncomfortable and more agitated, and it was coming out more and more until I said this to him. You ready? Let's say you're walking by a lake, okay? And you see a Jewish boy who's drowning in the lake, chas v'shalom. and you are capable of swimming and helping him, and you see he doesn't know how to swim, okay, and you don't help him, what's the law according to the Torah? But you didn't. He just drowned. You didn't do anything.
Well, you saw him in front of your eyes.
Yeah, but did you kill him?
But you,
Did you cause it?
but you were not saving him. That means you caused him.
Okay.
You're responsible for him.
So the Torah teaches that a Jew who sees a Jew drowning in a lake and he's capable of saving him and he sees he can't and he doesn't go help him, it's keneged you killed him. And Hashem keeps his own Torah. So even if you want to say he doesn't cause it, if Hashem can help and he doesn't, you take it the rest of the way.
But I thought that,
I want you to think about this for a second. Before you respond, I want you to think it over, okay? We're going to talk more about it as time goes on. This is a very, very hard concept. It's actually a paradox which is not understandable to the human mind in this world, okay? So therefore, just take it and put it back for a second, okay? And B'ezrat Hashem, we can speak about it after if you want. Okay. So now, you have a Munah, it's built by Moshe and Aaron, by gratitude and by Netzach, Holy Chutzpah. You flex these back and forth, and then what happens is you build your Munah, and then you're able to see clearly that everything is from Hashem and everything is for the good. So the mind of a Munah is called Netzach and Hod. This is what we're saying. But the opposite works as well. That we're saying now that the Arizal teaches in Sha'ar Klipot, the gate of Klipot, that the mind of the Malchut of the Sitra Achra, we just said that the Malchut is an influence of the other side. What does it mean, an influence of the other side? He is trying to cause separation in your life, within yourself, between you and Hashem, X, Y, and Z. Where does he get his ideas from? The birds of the other side. Netzach and Hod. Now listen to this. V'hashtei tziparim chayot ha'orot. These two birds that build the malchut of kedusha, though, meaning the influence that brings you close to good, that's why it says they have to be chayot, alive, and torot, pure. Remember what we said? That when you bring a korban for Lashon Hara, that when a person gets tzara'at, he gets leprosy. I don't even know what that is, but he gets leprosy. He becomes a leper. And now he has spotted skin like a leopard, okay? Now, how does he get rid of his skin disease? There's only one way. He needs to bring 2 live, pure birds to the Beit HaMikdash for a korban. Why? That's such a random thing. And the Midrash says, let the chatterer come and atone for the chatterer. Let the birds, which are constantly chirping, come and wash away and nullify the negativity of the one who was found chirping, but not for good. Yeah, these are the holy birds. Ooh, nice. I like it. Moshe's also da'at. No, he's right. Moshe's also, the Arizal brings down that Moshe is da'at, but in the very basic system of Kabbalah, when you're just looking at the Sfirot, Moshe is Netzach. Now there is a way to look at the Sfirot, which is a very important way, which Rabbi Nachman touches on constantly, which is that Moshe is Da'at. This is a different thing, and you have to know a lot more to be able to kind of put that all together, and I don't want to confuse everybody. So for this lesson, Moshe is not Netzach.
Mercy and judgment.
What's that?
Mercy,
What?
Aaron, and judgment is Moshe Rabbeinu, Aaron. So left side and right side is it like that?
I don't want you to go there. I want you to go with what we spoke about tonight. Okay? He brings 2 live birds. So that builds up the malchut of Kedusha. Now listen to this. Lefichach nishtabach David lifnei Shaul. Therefore, David HaMelech, David, was praised before Shaul. What is he speaking about? Shaul was the first king of the Jewish people. Right, he came from the tribe of Benjamin. Yeah. Who? Whenever I think of that, I think of a TV show that I used to watch. Okay. Shaul. I'm going to call him Shaul. Okay? Shaul was the first king of the Jewish people. Yeah? He gets a very bad rap. He was actually a very big tzaddik. Now, what happened to Shaul? Shaul was given a mitzvah, a very big mitzvah to carry out. To kill out Amalek. To destroy Amalek. This is a mitzvah d'oraita. This is a mitzvah that's incumbent on the Jewish people when they enter the land, is to get rid of and to kill Amalek. Hashem told Shaul through Shmuel. Shmuel was the tzaddik, Yesod Olam. Shmuel was the tzaddik of the generation. He was the Navi. And he told Shaul, the king, that he has to kill Amalek. However, he didn't end up doing it. He didn't end up doing it for the same reason that every great person in history ever made an error. Okay? What happened as a result? He blemished prophecy. What's the concept of Netzach and Hod? It's Nevuah. Prophecy comes from Netzach and Hod, comes from Moshe and Aaron. So 1 second. So now Shmuel, who is equal to Moshe and Aaron together, the Torah says, he comes to Shaul and tells him a nevuah, prophecy, which means that this is truth. This is what we have to do. This is what Hashem wants. That's it. He didn't follow it, so he blemished Netzach and Hod. What happened immediately after that? He lost his malchut. He lost his kingship. What did we just say before? Kingship, influence, emunah, is dependent on your connection to Netzach and Hod, to holy birds, to prophecy. So when he got it, he blemished it by not following it, he lost his malchut immediately. Emunah, but his influence, meaning...
Was David born the moment he...
This is not at the moment that David is born. Now listen to what happens. Shaul had advisors, like any king has advisors. He had his own Netzach and Hod. They were called Doeg and Achitophel. Yeah? Okay. Shh. Why? Okay. What a name. Achitophel. Sounds like a medicine I took last night. Okay. So, what did they do? They were actually very jealous of David. Okay? They saw David and they were very jealous of him, like everybody was. Why? Because he was very pure and he was very innocent. David. And he lived with Hashem, Mamish. And he was he was very talented, he was very charismatic, he was very good looking. So he had a lot of people who were jealous of him. Specifically, Shaul, his advisors. Okay. So what happened right after Shaul didn't follow through with the command to wipe out Amalek? Hashem told Shmuel to anoint David as king, even before Shaul knew. He took his kingship from him immediately, and he said, I want you to go find David and anoint him. Okay? So 1 second. Now, what happens to Shaul as soon as he loses his kingship, which also means his emunah? What happens to a Jew when he loses his emunah? He falls into depression. And what happened to him? He fell into depression. Yeah, he fell into atzvut. He fell into depression. It said he had a bad ruach. What was that? Sadness. What ended up happening? His advisors said, there's a person who is such a sweet singer. He will lift up your spirits. What does it mean? What do we say? What lifts Amunah? Song. Right? So what do you say? David. There's a person named David. He's a beautiful, sweet singer. If you hear him sing, your Amunah is going to be uplifted. Your sadness is going to be uplifted. However, Doeg and Achitophel, who were the birds of the other side, they did not actually have good intentions because their whole influence came from jealousy. And as soon as a person is making decisions based on jealousy, especially at such a high level, you cause tremendous destruction and damage. So why did he actually tell Shaul about David? Because he knew that Shaul in his depression would become jealous of David and try to kill him. So how was Shaul able to be influenced by people who had bad intentions, who were bad influences? How could the king, who was a tzaddik, ever get to that point?
Not only that, but the mitzvah of killing Amalek.
So the answer is he only became under the influence of negative influences when he blemished prophecy. What do we say? As long as you have netzach and hod, as long as you have holy chutzpah and gratitude, you can't be influenced by negative influences that take you away from Hashem, that take you away from your real self, that take you away from Amunah. Okay? But what happened was he blemished Nevuah. Shmuel told him, you have to kill Amalek. He didn't do it. That's a concept of blemishing Netzach and Hod. And as soon as he did that, now he could be influenced by anybody. And that was Doeg and Achitophel, who actually wanted Shaul to get jealous to kill David. What did they say about him? The first thing that Doeg said about David to Shaul when he was trying to tell him why he should come sing to you, he said 6 things about him. The first thing that he said was, V'yodea nigun. He knows song. He knows song.
Is that written there? Said 6 things there?
I'm telling you the 6 things.
Because we learned that there's 6
Yes.
rings.
Oh, nice. There's 6 things that they said about him. The first thing they say about him, which Rabbi Nachman is bringing right now, is V'yodea nagin. He knows song. The simple understanding is he's a skilled musician. He was a good musician. Okay? But the deeper understanding that Rabbi Nachman is bringing is that David is the Malchut of Kedusha. David is the epitome of a positive influence, of the positive influence that's in the world. He brings redemption to the Jewish people because he is the king of Kedusha. He's not using his influence to separate people from Hashem, from the Torah, from the tzaddik, from their true self. He is using his charisma, his ability to speak, his good looks, his influence only in order to bring people to Amunah, to bring people close to Hashem, to bring good. How does he do that? V'yodea nigun, because he knows song. Meaning, he is connected deeply, in the most deepest way possible, to Netzach and Hod of Kedusha, to Moshe and Aaron of Kedusha, to gratitude and submission, and at the same time, holy chutzpah. Does everybody understand this point? This is a very hard piece in Likutei Moharan. Okay? What does it mean, V'yodea nigun? He knows song. He's saying, no, he literally knows song. His knowing is called song. The way that David understands the world is through song.
So we said because knowing is also a union.
Yes, but I want to go simple because I want to make sure everybody understands. We just said that everything has its own mind. Everything has its own consciousness. What's the consciousness of Amunah? Song. Who is the epitome of Amunah? David. Where does he get that from? How? Through knowing song. What is song? To be able to go back and forth between gratitude and submission and through holy chutzpah. So that's within your hipodadut. I'm just giving you a practical, but on a very simple level, David learned from Shmuel. David nullified himself completely to Shmuel, who was the tzaddik of the generation, And Shmuel was equal to Aaron and Moshe combined, meaning everything that David got, he got from the tzaddik who was holding on to Netzach and Hod of Kedusha. And therefore, his whole consciousness came from Moshe and Aaron, from Netzach and Hod, from what's called song. And that's the place of prophecy. And that's the reason why, even though in his lifetime, everybody thought that David was a balavera, that he was using his influence for the opposite of what Judaism is about. He is using his influence to bring people further away from Hashem. In fact, all he was doing was good, and only when Shlomo Melech came to the Beit HaMikdash and he couldn't get in to the Aron until he showed David to Hashem, then all the Jewish people realized that everything David was good. And also that's why the last thing it says about David, there were 6 things. One is that he, Yodea Nigun, he knows song. 2 is that he was a Chayal Gibor. He was a strong warrior. 3 is that he was an Ish Milchama. He was a man of war. 4 is that he was Navon Davar, that he was fluent in speech. He was able to speak in a way that was captivating. 5 is that he was Toar, he was handsome, he was good looking. And the last thing it said was that Hashem was with him. Hashem is with him. What does it mean that Hashem is with him? So they explain that the halacha goes according to David. What does it mean that Hashem is with him? It means that whatever David came to, when he gave advice, when he taught, when he tried to bring people to the ultimate good, even though he didn't get it directly from Hashem like Moshe did, that Moshe actually told him, this is what I want you to do, David, through his own heart's inspiration, was able to come to the same exact truthful conclusion without actually hearing it from Hashem. Which is a higher level. But on paper, it's to those who see it, it looks much more, it doesn't look as much of a sure thing. Because everybody sees Moshe speaking to Hashem. But everyone sees David and like, this guy's just in the woods all the time and like.
Moshe was so godly. David was so earthly. He was down here.
Yeah.
Before he was going with everything.
Yeah. Right, because Moshe was getting what's called Nevuah, and everything David did was through Ruach HaKodesh. Now on paper, Nevuah is higher, because Nevuah is a direct experience of godliness, whereas Ruach HaKodesh is a Ruach, it's an intuitive inspiration which wells up within your own heart, which is not clear like Nevuah. However, the root of Ruach HaKodesh is higher than the root of Nevuah. And that's why David HaMelech, his soul is rooted in a higher place than Moshe Rabbeinu. Yes.
What makes it higher?
Because you tell me, we'll ask simply, okay? I know this class is going a little bit longer, but there's very important things that we're covering, so I hope you will forgive me. What's greater? Let's say, for instance, you have these 2 people over here. Let's say Benjamin is literally talking to Hashem every single day. Hashem is literally speaking to him and telling him what to do. Go help this person. Go learn this. Tell that person this. Go do this. Direct, clear revelation of the ultimate reality. Imagine this Chashuv Jew has never heard from Hashem in his life. He's went through tremendous trials, tribulations, and difficulties. He was disowned and oppressed and subjugated by everyone around him. And he ended up going out into the woods every day and talking to Hashem. And he came out of his Hibodedut every day with the same exact understanding of what Hashem wanted from him that Benjamin did from actually hearing it from Hashem. So again, this is what we're trying to say, that when a person becomes pure enough, then the Ruach HaKodesh, he lives with it like prophecy. But we're only going to know in the end, like you're saying, that the Ruach HaKodesh is actually true. That's why nobody was maskim to David in his lifetime. And that's why Mashiach, initially, nobody will be maskim to him either.
I'm sorry, you said nobody will be.
Nobody will be on board with Mashiach either initially. Rabbi Nachman says that when Mashiach comes, the whole world is going to be completely confused. Completely confused in a state of bilbul. But he said that bilbul, confusion, but my students are not going to be confused at all. My students are going to be able to receive that reality with complete yeshuv da'at.
Confused about what?
That this is,
It was like you mean like you woke up out of a good slumber.
yeah,
You know exactly the good Shabbos sleep.
yeah. Like you're you know how, yeah, you know, yeah. And I have a chidush on this. And I think the reason he's saying that is because why are the students of Rabbi Nachman not going to be surprised? Why are they not going to be caught off guard? Because they're already learning everything he's going to teach everyone.
You're not hearing what he's saying. He's saying something very deep.
But I think in a deeper way that so many people.
You can't go deeper than that. Yeah, you have to think about what I'm saying. You can't go deeper than that. But go ahead.
No, but I think in many people they have a certain idea of what he would look like. So if it would not match that.
So that's actually a simple way. That's not a deeper way. The simple understanding is he's not going to be what you thought he was going to be. He doesn't look like what you thought he was going to look like. And I'm telling you, there's a deeper...
The things that he's going to teach you, he already taught me.
So the deeper thing that Rabbi Nachman is saying is that what he's teaching to the world...
Meaning what Rabbi Nachman is teaching?
No, wait 1 second. That's the chidush that Hashem gave me. I don't know. Yeah? That what he's teaching to the world is not what you would think. However, my students are going to be in yeshuv da'at when they hear what the Mashiach has to say.
Why? Because it's the same thing.
So there is, I don't know the explanation to this, but what I'm explaining to you is my what Hashem has filled me with, the ruach that Hashem has filled me with, what makes sense to me is because they're learning it. Because they're already learning Rabbi Nachman's Torah.
Doesn't Nachman say that the only difference between me and Mashiach is that Mashiach doesn't listen to me, they're not going to listen?
He doesn't say that. That was Saba.
Sure. I read it from Nachman.
Okay, so I heard Saba say it, that the only difference between Mashiach and Rabbi Nachman is that nobody listened to Rabbi Nachman, everyone's going to listen to Mashiach. Whoever said it, it's the same exact point. Because it's not what you would expect. The amount of resistance that Rabbi Nachman's Torah gets is the craziest thing in the world. I want you to think on paper. What is bad about learning all day and night that you talk to Hashem and you try to form a deep connection with Him, that you're simple, that you're innocent, that you have good relationships, that you, like, what's wrong with all of that? Is something about that not kosher?
Agenda-based.
No, so one second. Is something about that wrong? The fact that you're happy without being on drugs. Now, I'm saying, I want you to just think logically. Is there something that's not normal about any of that? So why is everybody cholek on this? Why does the world feel that this is a threat to Judaism? And I'm explaining. Because Rabbi Nachman said, and they asked him this, Rav Natan used to say to him, why does everybody hate you? Why does everybody feel that you are... And he said, it's very simple. There's one reason. Because I'm teaching tefillah. I am teaching the power of prayer. And in this world, prayer is an exile. Tefillah is an exile. And tefillah brings redemption. So there has to be a counterforce to these teachings. There's a lot of deep things that are going on.
He's saying the Yetzer Hara will let you learn Torah as long as you're not learning about tefillah. As long as you're not learning
As
about it's gonna bring you over.
Yes.
But they say the Gemara is the first Gemara.
It's in brachot.
The they say brachot is the first thing that.
So this is actually what Rabbi Nachman cites when he says that what's the reason. He actually cites the Gemara in Brachot. The Gemara in Brachot, based on a pasuk in Tehillim, I believe it's in Zion, that it says that what's valuable is despised in this world. What's valuable is, it's like the last or second to last pasuk. Yeah, can you say it out loud? Yeah? And it says in Masechet Brachot, what is it talking about? What's so valuable that's despised in this world? And it says clearly in Masechet Brachot, it's prayer. And it says there that prayer is in the highest summit of existence.
Why do you think it starts off with prayer?
Okay.
Must be very valuable. Oh wow.
So he said, why is everybody against what I teach? The answer is very simple. Because I'm teaching the value of tefillah in a world that despises tefillah. And the Yetzer Hara does not want the world to know about the power of prayer. Okay? So, whatever the case may be, we'll end there.
Alright, so when a person does kibbutz, is it him singing songs because he's going back and forth between?
Yes.
So basically, it's considered.
Every single time you go do Hibodedut, it's a beautiful point. Every single time you go do Hibodedut, you're singing. What type of song? The song of the birds of Kedusha. By you singing that song, you build your emunah. Every time that you go sing that song, you build your emunah more and more. So that's why when people ask, what's the best way to do Hibodedut? You do it however you want to do it. But what builds your emunah mamish like a rocket? It's going back and forth and playing this song every time. This song of gratitude, of submission, followed by the most intense, fervent advocation for change in your life.
So this concept of music isn't just the Hibodedut, it's life in general. There's the oral Torah, then there's the written Torah.
Yeah.
You're going to
The concept of a song is to be able to live with multiple things that seem like they're not one, and they're one. By you bringing those two things together, you reveal Hashem in the world, because Hashem is one.
You say music is higher than Keter, you said?
So music's from the Keter. It's sourced in the Keter,
Right.
and it comes down, and it comes down into Netzach and Hod, and that's where Nevuah prophecy comes from. That's why prophets used to sing and play music and dance before they went into Nevuah, because it's the singing itself that creates a mental, psychological, spiritual space that opens you up to Nevuah, meaning what Hashem wants from you.
Didn't
I just want-
brought music, that's the only thing, the gift he brought down when Hashem
Yeah, he
was
brought
exiled
music.
him, so he brought music.
Yes, so this was the gift that Hashem gave Adam, knowing that he would be in exile to get back out, was through song. And this is why Mashiach, who is David, who is the final and he is the primary tikkun of Adam, he yodea nigun, he knows song. And what does it mean he knows song? It doesn't just mean he plays music. It means he sees the Jewish people and the world like a song. He sees the good in everything, and he strings it together like a song. And he unites it all like a song. And even within his tefillah, he does this. Even within his prayer, he does this. So that's one understanding, and that's the Yodea Nigun, meaning his consciousness is not intellectual. His consciousness is that of a song. And because of that, he could be the king of Kedusha. He can be the Mashiach. Like we're going to see in a second, which we'll do tomorrow. He's Rui for the Malchut. He is deserving of the Malchut. Why? Because he's Yodea Nigun. He knows song. Doesn't just mean he knows how to play. It means his knowing is music. The way he knows existence, the way that he interprets and reality is like a song. David is Mashiach. He knows unity. Because he looks at everything like a song. Because the Tzaddik Yisod Olam and the Mashiach are not the same. The Mashiach comes from Malchut, and the Tzaddik is the Tzaddik. The Tzaddik is what gives all the influence to the king. Just like Shmuel gave David everything that he had, so too Eliyahu Navi comes with the Mashiach. And it's also like, whatever, there's like a...
Was Moshe Tzaddik Yisod Olam?
Yes.
So wasn't he Mashiach too?
We have to talk about these things like in but like on a very basic, simple, where does the king get all that he has from? He gets it all from the tzaddik.
Spiritual or physical?
Everything. The king, David, has no life of his own. He's Malchut.
Who was his tzaddik at that time?
Who? David? Shmuel.
Yeah, but he still got everything himself.
No.
He didn't earn anything?
It's not about earning. We're not in the business world, okay? Listen to what I'm telling you. In Kabbalah, Malchut, which is manifested by David, represented by David, Malchut has nothing of its own. David is a stillborn. He doesn't have life. He's dead. He's naturally dead. What gives him life? Only what he receives from above him. Malchut. Malchut has nothing of its own. He only receives from what's above it. What's above Malchut? Yesod. What's Yesod? It's the tzaddik. What is the tzaddik? The tzaddik is the gathering of all godliness into one place and then brings it down into the Malchut. So, and Shmuel is the tzaddik. To David.
Just like Rabbi Nachman is our tzaddik, is the same, is pretty much the same thing through him.
Through him, we develop our emunah, our malchut, your malchut is your personal spark of godliness. Where does it get developed from? By the way, I'm very happy you're in this class.
Me?
Yes. You understand very deep things in a very simple way, and that's very, very good. Okay? No, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to embarrass you. No. It's good to have, it's good to have people like you in the class, okay? Every single one of us has our own malchut. Every single one of us has our own sphere of influence, whether it's with other people or it's just with ourselves. What builds that sphere of influence within yourself and with other people, depending on to what degree Hashem gives you? It's the degree that you're connected to Yesod, to the tzaddik. The more that you're attached to the tzaddik, the stronger your malchut becomes, because the malchut has nothing of its own. Any influence that you have actually comes from your Yesod, from your tzaddik, from your Brit. I know this is like a lot of different Kabbalistic concepts and Tzvirot and whatever, but this is all very important. We need to know these to understand any of the lessons of Chassidut and, yeah.
Can you just briefly expound on how David was the tikkun for Adam?
Yes, sure. So, Adam HaRishon was the first man, yeah? He was actually supposed to be Mashiach ben David. Because the Mashiach ben David is a paradigm. The Mashiach ben David is a process. The Mashiach ben David is an experience. David ends up revealing that experience, but the Mashiach ben David itself is, in its essence, it's a process of Geula. So who brings the redemption? It was supposed to originally be Adam.
Redemption to who?
So Adam was the collective soul of humanity. What does that mean? It means that every single soul in reality was a part of his collective soul. That means that everyone here is a part of the soul of Adam. So who is he bringing redemption to? All of us.
Including the Goyim?
Including the Goyim.
All the going come from Adam also.
Everyone. So this is a very esoteric topic, but just like on a very, very simple level, Adam is a collective soul. His soul encompasses all of the souls that are in the world, okay? He was supposed to bring Geula through the situation that Hashem gave him in the garden, okay? To go into a state of redemption immediately. Because of the error of Adam, now someone else needs to be Mashiach ben David. So let's take it to the next step. Adam is the acronym, not just the name, it's Aleph, Dalet, Mem. So we start with Adam. So who is the next person to come and have the role of Mashiach ben David? Aleph, Dalet, David.
Was there Noah?
No, he's the tzaddik. Okay? So 1 second. So you go from Adam to David. Now if you'll notice in Jewish history, where was David's life? It's literally at the middle point of Jewish history. If you look at Jewish history, according to the Jewish calendar that the world lasts 6,000 years, he and his reign was literally in the middle point of Jewish history. Why? Because Adam, David, okay? David came to rectify Adam. However, ultimately, it's what David gives birth to which brings redemption to the whole world. And that's the last point of history, which is the Mem, which is Mashiach.
Then why are we in a state?
1 second. So this is Mashiach ben David. Okay? Mashiach is going to bring redemption to the whole world, but he is the soul of David, who comes back to redeem all of us. And the reason he's called Ben David is because he's the product of David. Everything that David was manifests again, but this time he's not just the king of Israel, he's the king of the whole world, and he brings redemption to all of creation. Okay, so that's all hinted to within the name Adam himself. When Adam didn't bring the Geula, it split off into 3 different separate Mashiach ben Davids. And then ultimately it's the Mashiach himself that brings the redemption. So, did that answer your question?
To a certain extent.
What was the rest of the question again?
That was it.
Oh, okay. You had a question?
Yeah, why is the whole person Netzach? Why do you have to submit?
Oh, good. So, the reason why it's good to do submission first before you ask is because if you ask before you recognize the good in your life, it's very easy to fall into despair.
You're not recognizing the good in your life.
That is the submission. You're actively recognizing the good in your life, both in what appears to be good and also what appears to not be good.
You accept it first.
It's through acceptance and saying, thank you, Hashem, that I'm alive.
Right, even in the Midah, it's thanking
Yeah.
that answer.
Exactly. Everything. The Gemara says it clearly. What is tefillah? It is first you thank Hashem and then you ask for your needs. But we're explaining now the deeper Kabbalistic ramifications of that. What is that?
So typically when you're tikkun for somebody else in the past, you take on a certain amount of suffering. I guess I was more curious as far as David's actual personal life. I mean, did he have to suffer some tragedy or something because of the sin of Adam?
Yes.
David was Adam's tikkun.
Yes. David had to suffer tremendously in his life, not for Adam even necessarily just as the person, but Adam as he represents all of our souls. So because he's the collective soul of everyone, David suffers for everyone.
Do you know how he suffered by any chance?
Yes. Come over here. I'm going to punch you in the arm and you're going to see exactly how he suffered. No, I'm just kidding. He's so serious. Do I know exactly how he suffered? What do you mean?
I mean, maybe there's some, additional commentary that's like...
Yeah, he suffered...
Talks about his personal trials.
Yes. They have all of it. He suffered tremendous suffering. He was alienated as a child. He was ostracized by everyone around him. Even before he was a child, he wasn't even supposed to survive his birth. They thought he was a mamzer as a kid. He was a bastard child. He wasn't even a Jew according to the way that they thought. His son tried to kill him. Shaul, the king, tried to kill him. His whole entire life. His whole entire life is just one trial after another trial after another trial.
He finally made it out.
Not only did he finally make it out, it's through his going down to all those places that he brings redemption to the world. Because all of the sparks of godliness that fell from Adam, David is picking and collecting them all up. Yeah.
Then why are we still here if David rectified Adam's sin?
Because you ultimately need Mashiach. Mashiach is the final piece.
But wasn't David the Mashiach?
Yeah, so was Adam.
Because David himself then sinned.
No, but it's not that. There's
It's true.
It's
Like
like,
he did all that. And
I understand. There's a process called Mashiach ben David. That process is encompassed by three people: Adam, David, Mashiach. That's why his name is Adam. For the full redemption to take place, you need all three of them. It could have been all in one shot, but because it wasn't, it became a 6,000-year process.
So is the name Adam a prophecy for the future?
His name Adam includes everything.
Right, so
Adam literally,
when Hashem named him Adam, he by default created this scenario called David also, and Mashiach.
yes, 100%.
Adam is Ani David Mashiach. ראשי תיבות, אני חושב שזה אני David Mashiach.
Oh my gosh, did you hear that, Chidush? Did anybody hear that? Yeah. You guys didn't hear that 5 minutes ago, right?
You just said that.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but my neshama wasn't.
I know. You went up to a higher world. You want to ask something? Yeah, you brought it down. You brought it down. Yeah. It's good. You like the Hasidic Rebbe's that they felt, you know, and like, yeah. What? Oh, he was traversing worlds. Okay, good. Now I know what's going on. Yeah, David. So I'm telling you. Okay. Where is it besides that? Good. I got you. You ready? You have a truth. You don't move from that truth no matter what anybody tells you.
What's an example?
An example is, let's say after this class, you know that you never got up for Shachrit in such a long time. You want to get up for Shachrit in the morning, and you want to do Yibodedut tonight right after this. You know that that's what's good for you. But what do? You have another person who wants to go to the mikveh. He tells you, I want to go to the mikveh, you're going to do Yibodedut after that. But you already know if I go to the mikveh now, I'm not doing Yibodedut after this. There's no way. I'm going to sleep after this. So why are you doing it? Because you lack holy chutzpah. Is that a good example?
That's the greatest example.
Okay.
How's that related? I don't know.
How is that related? Because the concept of holy...
What can you do both? They could go to...
Because I'm explaining, in your life, you're going to have multiple good opportunities come up for you. Someone's going to say, come learn Torah. Somebody's going to say, come to the mikveh. Somebody's going to say, hey, I need help in my house. Can you go help me? We're putting together something. Somebody's going to say, we can go do Yibodedut. Now you have to determine what is your truth.
What's more important to you?
What is your truth? And that should be the most important thing to you. Now you're going to have to follow that. Doesn't mean you do. Now when you don't, what happens? You blemish your netzach. You're not actualizing this quality within you called Moshe. And you have to. And the whole reason Hashem is bringing different scenarios is not because they mean bad. They actually want good. It's to give you an opportunity to use Netzach. Because you need it to build a Munah. Does that make sense? Ish? No?
Yes.
Again.
You have a certain...
Again. One second. We're learning from Rabbi Nachman the highest, greatest thing is Yibodedut. He says it explicitly in Likutei Moharan. He says it explicitly. You didn't hear it from his students. He writes it explicitly. Okay. So now, let's say you want to experience what Rabbi Nachman teaches about. All these different teachings, you want to experience all these unbelievable, incredible things. So what should be your number one priority? To do 1 hour of Yibodedut. More than anything else. Why? Because he says the highest, greatest thing. But you're going to have people come up to you and say, hey, but why don't you come learn? Hey, but why don't you come pray? How come you don't do with me and go play tennis? How come you don't do... And those are all good things. And you need these all in your life. But what is the most important thing that I have to do no matter what? My Yibodedut. And with that being the case, for me to be able to experience Emunah, I need to have boldness for my truth. Even in the face of everyone else who says not like that. Holy stubbornness, exactly. The issue is, when you don't use it for Kedusha, it becomes the greatest barrier to being close to Hashem. So then you have to make sure that you're using it to progress spiritually.
What does that mean
Meaning, like for instance, if I say to you, it would be really good for you to stop watching porn. Okay? And you say, yeah, but that's crazy. I grew up my whole entire life watching it. Everybody does it. It's completely normal. And you refuse. So why are you refusing? Because you're stubborn. Where is the stubbornness coming from? It's not because you want to grow. It's because you don't want to change. So if your stubbornness is coming from I don't want to change, that's a huge barrier to being close to Hashem.
What's Kedusha? I'm sorry.
Kedusha is I want to change to be closer to Hashem. So you want to use the stubbornness for Kedusha, meaning that you have what's important to you, and no matter what, you don't move off of those things. Even if it means you have a mitzvah that comes up, and that's why the whole first Torah of Likutei Moharan is talking about the Yetzer Hara clothed in a mitzvah, because you're going to have mitzvot that come up for you, that are going to tell you, don't get to class on time and go help another person. And you do that your whole life. Every case has to be handled on its own. But part of doing Hibodedut is knowing, oh wait, by the way, maybe my nature is to want to help everybody at my own expense. Now, does Hashem want me to do that always for the rest of my life? Or maybe Hashem feels that I can help more people if I know the truth about reality. Then I can do that also, and I could actually know what's going on. But to be able to do that instead of helping another person, that's going to take tremendous holy stubbornness, because you're going to be pulled in every corner of your kishkas to go help that person because you're a good person. Does that make sense?
So it's basically being able to say no for the right reasons.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. And the right reasons is for your growth.
But isn't it selfish enough?
No. It is if it's selfish, but if you're stubborn because you know it's going to help more people, like for instance, I know that when I don't do an hour of Hibodedut a day, I become clinically depressed. I know that when I do 1 hour of Hibodedut a day, I'm the happiest person in the world. So what would I used to do? I used to give up my Hibodedut to help every poor person on the street, every person, every Jew who needed me at any moment. I was out till 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 a.m. doing whatever it took for any person who ever needed it, because I thought that that's the greatest good. But if I become depressed as a result, and then I can't help anybody because I'm in my bed for a year, which one's selfish? It's actually more selfish for me to help everybody. But if I do my Hibodedut every day and I refuse to back out on it, that's the most selfless thing I can do, because now I'm available to help everybody. Do you hear the difference?
You gotta help yourself before you help somebody else.
Yeah. But that itself is the most selfless thing you can do. But if you're doing it just because it's geschmack for you, because you like it, so that's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about I'm doing this thing so that ultimately I can give more good. And just like a very simple example of this. And this is something that's very, very hard for people in our generation, okay? We know that Abraham came first. He was the revelation of loving kindness, of good, kind deeds that every Jew is familiar with, and especially in the secular world, that you don't know this, but they are busy, mamish, day and night, doing good things for people. Because it's in the Jewish neshama, okay? Then after Abraham came, Yitzchak. Yitzchak teaches avoda, tefillah, okay? Finally, you have Yaakov, that he's emet, he teaches Torah, he teaches the truth. But you'll notice, even though these are the three foundations of your life and the three foundations of the world, in Pirkei Avot, it doesn't say that the three foundations of the world are Gimilut, Chasadim, Avodah, and Torah. It doesn't say the three foundations of the world are acts of kindness, Tefillah, and Torah, even though that's the way that they came out. Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. It says the opposite. Why does it say the opposite? Why does it say Torah as the first foundation, avoda or tefillah as the second, and then finally, gimilut chasadim, acts of loving kindness as the third. Because for your acts of loving kindness to be actually good for you and everyone around you, they need to be rooted in truth. And if a person doesn't learn the truth, then his acts of loving kindness can be abuse. Like for instance, in the Ashkenazi world after the Holocaust, many of the parents from Eastern Europe gave their kids everything that they can have once they got to America. Why? Because they had nothing. Their parents had nothing. They were poor. They were abused, X, Y, and Z. All of a sudden, they have kids. They live in New Jersey. They live in New York. They live in Florida. And they were able to succeed financially. So what did they do? They gave them everything without any boundaries. So on paper, that looks like an amazing thing. That looks like the most beautiful thing. What's the issue? It's just as destructive as physical abuse. But from the opposite side. It's just as handicapping as only discipline. So how do you know how to give in a way that's good for you and for others? You need to learn the truth. Now that you learn the truth, you can go to the field and pray to Hashem to help you know. That's Yitzchak. And then you can go give in a way that's good for you and everyone around you. There are people in this class who mamish give. It's one of the most redeeming factors of everyone, including myself here. Everyone who's in this class, I know, loves to give to others. But Rabbi Nachman teaches that the scissor thing is a Yetzer Hara clothed in a mitzvah. That in the end, though, your ability to give in a positive way for others and yourself is dependent on how rooted you are in truth. Because rain that doesn't end is called a flood, and it can sink the whole world. But rain that never happens is a drought. But rain that's in its time brings the redemption. Okay? There's a lot more to say. Everybody, an amazing night. We're going to continue tomorrow night. Likutei Moharan, this Torah, 9 p.m. People came like 15 minutes late, so the class ended up going later, and it also went later for other reasons. But please come to the class tomorrow as well to find out more, so you can have clarity in all the things that we're speaking about. You can live with it, because that's the main point. It's not to go home and to think about all the different Kabbalistic, because even though it's great and that's beautiful, it's not going to change your life. Rabbi Nachman wants you to change your life for good. So come out of here with one practical thing. What can I do now? Hibodedut. That when I go to do my Hibodedut, I'm going to go first try to accept and to thank for whatever has happened to me, even if I don't actually feel or believe that. And then from there, that you beg and you plead with Hashem and advocate for yourself for a change. And that you're bold and you don't fall off your truth, even if you have other mitzvahs available to you. Thank you so much, guys.